that my voice is weird? Hello, welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to Seedling School. I had a dream last night and I decided I was going to do this today. So let's talk about it. If you visit github.com/coding garden/seedling-school-01-front-end-project, you can also click the link in the description of this video. I have decided I am going to challenge you to do a project. And we'll talk about how you submit your project, how it's all going to work. But essentially, your first front end project is going to be to build a front end website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and the website will communicate and integrate with a third-party web API. Now we're going to talk about what that is and all that good stuff. And if you have any questions about this stuff as I'm talking about it, please feel free to throw a message in the chat. And this will be an evolving thing, but let's first talk about the goals of this project. In general, this project will allow you to demonstrate your ability to build basic multi-page front-end websites with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It will also demonstrate your ability to deploy a website to the web so that anyone can access it. And in terms of HTML, this will demonstrate your ability to create HTML pages that link together. And in terms of JavaScript, this will demonstrate your ability to make API requests with front-end JavaScript, most likely using fetch or XML HTTP request. You'll also demonstrate your ability to use and manipulate data from a third-party web API. Now, like I said, we're going to talk about what those are, but that's one of the goals. And your last JavaScript goal is to demonstrate your ability to traverse and manipulate the DOM, the document object model, with vanilla.js, and you cannot use any frameworks like Vue or libraries like jQuery. So this is all about using core web technologies to build your website. And in terms of CSS, you should demonstrate your ability to use a CSS framework like Bootstrap or Bulma to create responsive and adaptive layouts. Now, I will talk about in a second, it's okay if you don't use a CSS framework, but this is a skill that you should know and have, so that's one of the things as well. Now, for every other bullet point, stretch goals, technical requirements, example third-party APIs, example project ideas, in scope, out of scope, how to participate, all of that I am going to write right now with all of you wonderful people watching. And that will happen very soon. I'm going to catch up on the chat, and then we'll fill that in. But also, I need to go turn my air conditioner off because it's very loud. But I'll be right back. I'm going to say hello to everyone. I just wanted to get that introduction out of the way. Click the link in the description. I'll talk about, again, towards the end, we'll talk about how you can actually participate. So don't fork this repo just yet. We're going to talk about how it all works. But I'll be right back. I am going to enable the drop game. Look at all those drops. I'll be right back. Okay, the air conditioner will be off just soon. I'm going to let these last drops come in. Oh, everybody's dropping. Everybody's dropping. Okay, last one's from my ear. It's going to be a good one. And he made it on the leaderboard. Great job. Oh, no. All right, I have to turn it off. It's too distracting. All right, hello, Simjohn. Welcome to the stream. Hello, John Sugar. Hello, Cyantan. Welcome. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Thanvu. Hello, Julian. Hola, Jesus. Jorge says, never clicked faster. Welcome to the stream. Hello, AGK. Hello, Jippy. Hello, Boyan. Hello, Cananello. Hello, Lindo. Hello, Samarpit. What's up, Josh? Hello, Katoli. Hello, Linus. Hello, Zachary. I'm doing good. I had a good day yesterday. Today's a good day. I got good rest. Hello, Coding Pasta. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for the link, Josh. Yeah, so if you click that link, you'll see what I'm talking about. But like I said, we got to fill this in. You can ask questions while I'm filling it in, all that good stuff. Danielle is excited. Link isn't in the Twitch description. That's a great point. There we go. Katoli shared it. Hello, Josim. Welcome. Indian. Hello. You're not too late. We got time. You're not too late. Hello, Sharpie. What's up? Hello, Julian. Cananello, you're not going to get left behind. We're here for you. We're here for you. Thanks for the follow, Jim. Here's my break timer. Let's take a quick stretch. Oof. I don't know if you heard that, but my back popped. Hello, Harsh. Welcome. Hello, Siljeppy. Hello, Magic Fire. Hello, Lenny. Hello, Marcelo. Hello, Meyer. Hello, Ilana. And yeah, Danielle is saying, yeah, I kind of want to do my CSS from scratch with Flex personally. Absolutely. And so I'm going to talk about what are potentially some stretch goals, so things that you can do that go beyond the initial goals, and writing your own CSS is one of those. And especially like if you're already a somewhat competent developer, you could still do this project, but just do a little bit more than the minimum goals and minimum requirements are asking. Hello, Jerry. Hello, the nerdy dev. Hello, Rita. You're welcome, Lynn. Yeah, and I hope we're gonna see. This is an experiment. I don't know how it's gonna go, but hopefully this will help people essentially create projects for their portfolio. So if you're learning web development, you eventually want to get a job in web development, a project like this is a great portfolio piece. Hello, Procure. Hello, the nerdy dev. Is there a time limit? So we'll talk about that. But essentially what I want to do is those of you that are tuning in now, or at least watching this within the next few days, I do want to have potentially a week and a half or a 2-week limit. So that way I can have a stream where we review projects live on stream. However, for those of you coming to this video in the future, you're absolutely welcome to do this as well. And if this works out, I might be able to keep up with submissions on the issue tracker, and maybe like once or twice a month we can review projects and do different things like that. The idea also is, as you're trying to build your project, if you come across issues like, why can't I get this data from the API, or how do I traverse this data, or why isn't this working, you can open issues, and then live on stream I can help you debug those things and also give lessons on certain topics that you might be having issues with. So that's the plan. Hello, Prashanth, welcome. Hello, Amit. Hello, Hork. Good morning, Brandon. Yeah, I did that Netflix stream. It was so long, but it was fun. Hello, Swayam. Hello, this is Tony. Hello, Daoud. Hello, Abalash. Hello, Zenux. Yeah, Brandon says, my favorite part was when you said you only wanted to code for an hour or two, and the stream was 6 hours. Yeah. The command should be garden. I like it. Or maybe droplet, like a little droplet that's trying to plant a seed. Hello, Lamine. Hello, Smartbit. Hello, Akash. Harsh has a small assignment to do. They'll be back. I'll be here, most likely. Lynn says, I'm Carolina on Twitch, watching on YouTube, so it's going to be 30 seconds lag. And no worries at all. Hello, Noel. Hello, Mirror. Hello, Ashish. Yeah, and that's the idea. It should be a good addition to your portfolio, especially if you're just starting out. Hello, Flex. We're about to talk about it. Just saying hello to everyone, and then we're going to get into the details. Yep, that's the plan, Linus, to review these live on stream, to give tips, and part of all of this will also do code reviews. So you can submit your project, and one of the initial steps will be for either myself or other people in the community to give you comments on your code before your final submission. So that's the plan. Yep. Hello, Chris. And we'll talk about how to generate ideas. I'll talk about sample ideas, so don't you worry. Hello, Robin. Welcome back after a long time. Yeah, for sure. And I know this isn't going to line up with everyone. That's why this is an experiment, because it's going to be somewhat async. Like, after the next couple of weeks, people are going to come to this video later, and I would like it to be set up in a way where they can still participate. Yeah, Jesus. It was a very long video. Hello, Vyas. Hello, Yuvaraj. Hello, Full Flex. Hello, Nicholas. Hello, Fabrice. Thanks for the follow, Izzy D. And hello, Biswaravaj. I'm having problems with words this morning. I don't know why. Maybe so, or I like plant. Yeah, plant your seed. I like it. Hello, this is Tony. And thanks for the follow, Flex. Okay, let's talk about it. So, like I said, description, the link is in the description. Let me go ahead and add it to Twitch for those of you that are watching on Twitch. That's going to be, I think I have a project, or show notes. Here we go. There we go. I don't know if that updates live on Twitch, but if you at least refresh the page, you should get a link in the project description. Where did it go? Oh yeah, right here. Oh, let me make it a link. It's marked down. Just a second. um, how does this work? Project description link and Default Gaming with a $2 super chat. Let's see what it says. Free super chat. Well, this has to go to CJ. You have a free super chat? What's that about? But thank you, Default Gaming. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Okay, so the link should be on Twitch. There you go. All right. I'm going to catch up on these messages and then we're going to do it. This is hard. There's a lot of people watching on YouTube, a lot of people watching on Twitch, but we're going to get through it. Oh, thank you, Rockcode. Yeah. It was a very long one, but it was good. Hello, Pranjal. Yeah, I think that's a good plan. So we'll have a Discord channel where you can kind of get some real-time feedback, and then for actual project submission, you'll create an issue. But we'll talk about that. Hello, Himanshu. Hello, Pashem. And thanks again for that super chat, Default Gaming. What's up, Andreas? Don't clone the repo just yet. We're gonna talk about how to participate. Yeah, free super chat money. That's crazy. Hello, Mattia. Yeah, click the link. There's the basic description, but I'm gonna have to write the rest of the stuff. Is this a new type of stream? Yeah, I've never tried something like this before, so it's gonna be fun. Create projects with Angular. Maybe eventually. I don't like TypeScript that much, but maybe. Fork or clone, what's the difference? So a fork is whenever you create an exact copy of this repo on your own GitHub account. A clone is when you take a GitHub repo that's on GitHub and you clone it down to your local machine. So you can either clone the original repo or clone your fork. But we'll talk about how to participate. Let's get started. So the first bullet point here that I have to fill in is stretch goals. So Danielle mentioned, I think it was Danielle, mentioned one earlier. What if you don't want to use a CSS framework? You can just use plain CSS with flexbox/grid instead of a CSS framework. Cool. What are some other stretch goals? We'll say like settings persistence in the browser with local storage. So what we're going to talk about is this project is purely a front-end project. You're not building a back-end, you don't have a database, and typically those are the things that you need if you want to do things like user login or saving user information. That's out of scope from this project. I'll go ahead and add that as out of scope. So user login is out of scope. Custom backend API is out of scope. Custom backend database is out of scope. You don't have to worry about any of these things. This is purely a front-end website. However, you can use something like local storage. So with local storage, you can save user settings, like if they prefer a dark theme, or if they have a particular thing that they want to save and you want to keep there whenever they refresh the browser. And another super chat. What's up with all this super chats? Oh, and these are the super chat, the super stickers. That's pretty sweet. Is that an avocado? Thank you so much, Jorge. That's so cool. So there's that. So the thing about local storage is it only works in one browser. So if a user saves some settings on their desktop and then they go to mobile, they're not going to have their settings there. And that's okay. That would be out of scope. To do things like that, you would need some sort of backend API or a database. Can anyone think of other stretch goals? So like, what are some things you could do beyond just what I have listed here that are still somewhat in scope, still related to front-end web development, different things like that? Yeah. Brandon, I am going to rehydrate. This morning I'm drinking some yerba mate. Oh, that's a good point. Thank you, Ronnie. Instead of, so in the browser with local storage or IndexedDB. Absolutely. And hello, Saktheville. Wait, did I get another super chat? What? How in the heck are people getting free super chats? That's so awesome. And thank you so much, Brandon Myers. Wow. Yeah, there's the alert. Thank you. Where was I? Okay, yeah, so IndexedDB local storage. Hello, Joe Mama, welcome. Hello, John D. Can we use a custom front-end framework like the one you did some time ago in a talk? Yeah, absolutely. So as long as it's vanilla JavaScript. So structure your JavaScript code in an NV star pattern. Use a state management pattern in your JavaScript code. And again, both of these points, still no third-party libraries. So you would have to write it yourself, but it would be cool to still structure your code like that. Yeah, it's a great one. And there's another one, from Robin, #1 fan. Thank you so much. These avocado ones are super sweet. I'm a fan of those for sure. Yep, I haven't gone live very long. YouTube is giving out 4 free super chats. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I do want to start breaking up my videos eventually. It just takes time because I have to edit them, that kind of thing. Raw code. I see CJ live. I click. Buenos dias, Bob. Bienvenidos. Jonathan says, I'm really interested in making my own JavaScript projects, including Node.js with Express and Webpack. I'm really struggling to find motivation configuring these projects. Yeah, configuration is a pain. Excuse me. I have run into that before where you spend so much time just trying to configure the thing without actually building the app, and it kind of like demotivates you. I would suggest using like a CLI or some sort of scaffolding tool that might help with that, but yeah. Yeah, so IndexedDB is another way of persisting data in a user's browser. Basic auth, no auth at all. So I'm saying out of scope is auth because it would require some sort of backend API. You potentially could use Firebase auth or something like that, but I want to keep this. I want to keep the scope limited, so that it's easier to gauge the projects and help with the projects. There will be future projects. That's the goal. This is 01 front-end project, but there will be future projects that are full stack projects and that will have authentication and things like that. But for now, we're gonna stick with that. Thanks again, Brandon. You rock. So you're right though. I mean, technically, you could use IndexedDB or local storage to have like a hard-coded username and password. That's definitely possible. Hard-coded username / password. Checked against local storage. Yeah, totally. Making a dark and a light theme. I won't say that's a stretch goal, but yeah, you're absolutely welcome to do that. Yeah, it's true, Jonathan. It's all very tedious. Hidden API. Yeah, so that's one of the main goals of this, and we're going to talk about that. But part of your JavaScript goals are to demonstrate your ability to use and manipulate data from a third-party web API. So we're going to talk about what those are and where you can find them. But that's really what's going to make this project more interesting rather than just a front-end project. And we'll talk about some example projects you could possibly do. Something like sockets would require backend, right? And we're trying to keep that out of scope. Animations with keyframes. Yeah, I'm not going to add that, but you can go ham. So use plain animations, all that good stuff. Absolutely. Hello, Harold. And thanks again, Robin, for the super chat. Routing, we're going to talk about it, but it's only 2 pages and there's no routing. But you could potentially turn it into, we'll say that as a stretch goal. Multiple pages with DOM manipulation. So a single page application instead of multiple HTML files. We can say that that is a stretch. And thanks for the follow, Webcub. We can maybe talk about that in a second, Fluke. It's a little off topic, but your question is there. We might get to it. Oh, that one was paid. Oh, Robin. Thank you. Thank you for taking money out of your bank account and transferring it to me via Super Chat. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Harold says, Vanilla.js or JS with a library, what should I learn first? Absolutely Vanilla.js. And if you're totally new to all of this, this is going to be a great project for you because I want you just to use vanilla. No libraries, no frameworks. They do not count as Vanilla.js. So when someone says Vanilla.js, they essentially mean JavaScript code that is supported by the web browser. So you're not adding any script tags for like a jQuery CDN or a Vue CDN or anything like that. It's all code that you write yourself that runs inside of the browser. Let's take a quick stretch. That's a good one, Ashwin. So in terms of stretch goals, documenting JavaScript with JS stock. I like it. Cananello is asking, what is the MV pattern? So that stands for model view, and then a lot of times you hear people say MV star because it's model view controller, model view view model, model view presenter. There's a lot of different ones. If you search for, actually, let me just search for MVC on Wikipedia. Model view controller. See also model view adapter or model view presenter, but it's basically a way of structuring your application. If you go to coding.garden/videos, I did a live show on Vanilla.js MVC. So I basically built a small component library that does things in the style of model view controller. And I built it from scratch live in front of people. And that will kind of, it's a fairly short video, but that will give you a short breakdown of what MV star is. If you search for MV star on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find tons of video. End-to-end testing, that is absolutely a stretch goal. Cool. Yep, you got it. Are you annoyed that the YouTube card is offset to the left a little bit? Which YouTube card? I don't know what you mean. If you check the link in the description, we're writing all of the information you will need to complete this project that we're talking about. Yeah, much love. Thank you, Newton. Hello, Manan. Web SQL is good for testing. Okay. Lazy loading images. Yeah. PWA. Yeah. So, and here's the thing. If you don't know what any of these things are, you don't have to worry about them. That's why I'm putting them under stretch goals, because the main goals are in building a basic website. There's a lot more that you can do, and once you have your basic website, you can start to learn about these other things and add on to it. This is really for anyone that wants to participate that is already maybe pretty decent at building websites. They can add these things extra. Cool. Yeah, no drops for now. It's a little distracting. No Express. So Express is a backend technology, and we have that out of scope. Django, etc. Mongo, MySQL, etc. All of those things I'm saying are out of scope. You are not building a backend API for all of this stuff. We're figuring it out. So what I've decided is we're gonna start with our front end project. So if you click the link in the description, there's a GitHub repo that describes what the project is and what the goals are. Right now we're filling out this README, we're talking about it, but the last thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how can you participate. And essentially, anyone that watches this video will be able to start working on their own front-end project that meets these goals, and we'll have a way of getting feedback from myself or feedback from people in the community. So that's the idea. Hello, you sir. Unit and integration. I won't do it today, but you can definitely add that to your project if you want to. And hello, JFellyWeb. Welcome. Had to switch to Twitch. That's okay. Making it with challenges, like not using ESNet fixtures or not features or not writing functions. Absolutely. I'm going to add this, like any constraint you want to put on yourself to get better at, I don't know, a particular technology. So something like only ES5. So you have to use things like vars. You can't use arrow functions. No ES6 plus features. Do it in the style of like functional programming. Anything like that, you're absolutely welcome to try and do that. Cool. Yeah, so this is going to be, and the other part of this is, for one, you get to practice and you can try to build something, but also it could be a portfolio piece for yourself. So that's the plan. how to use JSDoc. So here's the other thing. We're going to talk about this project. We're going to talk about what all the stuff is. But after I have introduced it and released it, you're going to have questions. And that is potentially videos that I can do teaching you about JSDoc or teaching you about local storage or different things like that. Error and exception handling. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say that's not necessarily a stretch, but you should have that in general. Let's add that under goals. Demonstrate your ability to handle errors gracefully. So if the API gives you an error, your page isn't just blank. You actually show a message to the user. I like that as just a general goal. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, that was a long one. That was a very long video. Oh, the offset card on Twitch? Let's see. I don't know. Doesn't bug me because I don't know what it is. Hello, Ishfan. I use DuckDuckGo. So if you go to duckduckgo.com, this is the search engine I use by default in my browser. And they have these things called bang commands. So if you type ! You can see all of the different services that you can search across. So if I do ! W, that automatically jumps out to Wikipedia. But that's just because I'm using DuckDuckGo as my default search engine. Hello, Ishfan. Using the cache API? Yeah. Yeah. There should be a link on Twitch that says show notes. You can click that link there. This is an external keyboard. If you type ! Keyboard, you can get a link to it. I like it. Yeah, so let's say, I don't even know if that should be a stretch goal. Let's put it under regular goals. Demonstrate your ability to create HTML pages that link together. Demonstrate your ability to use semantic HTML tags. We're going to make that an overall goal. I like that. Thank you, Ashwin. You can use Bootstrap. Yeah, Zachary. So the basic goal is to use something like Bootstrap or Bulma, and that's really just to help you with layout. You can use their grid system. You'll get a nice UI without having to work too hard. But a stretch goal is to write all of the CSS yourself. But the basic requirements are to use a CSS framework. Cool. Yeah, why not? So for stretch goals, let's say a build process with Babel, Webpack, and that could include things like Sass and different things like that. I like it. Out of scope, what's the difference between Express and Meteor.js? Yeah, we'll save that there, but maybe someone in the chat will answer it. What? I just learned to use... Yeah, it's a stretch goal. You don't have to do that. It would just be a fun constraint, like if you wanted to try and create a website that doesn't use the latest features for whatever reason. Maybe you want to learn about Core ES5. It's a stretch goal. Yeah, so we're not building anything. We're just talking about the requirements for this project. Potentially, eventually. Hello, Samya. Welcome. Learning to use the Chrome DevTool. I'm going to add that as just a general goal. So let's put that under JavaScript. Let's put it under demonstrate. Demonstrate your ability to debug code with the Chrome DevTools. Chrome or Firefox DevTools, or whatever browser you use. But that's absolutely, everyone should be able to do that as a general goal. I like it. Yes, full stack means front end and back end, and for this project, we're only working on the front end. Cool. Div p. You could, I don't know what that's in reference to, but yeah. React.js is great. It's okay. It's okay. What's the difference between Babel and Webpack? So Babel is a tool for turning new JavaScript into older JavaScript that's supported by more web browsers. Webpack is a module bundler where you can add Babel into the toolchain. So basically, Webpack can bundle up all of your files, and then you would run that bundle through Babel so that you can get JavaScript that's supported by older browsers. But you would use them in conjunction. It's not like one or the other. Pre-CSS processors are okay. Yeah. Accessibility for HTML. Let's add that as a general goal. So let's say demonstrate your ability to use accessible alt tags. I like it. Hello, Rohit. I'm doing good. Pre-CSS processors are okay. We're going to add that as a stretch goal. Build process with Webpack, Babel, Sass, Less, etc. That's a stretch goal, but for those of you that have no idea what that is, you don't have to worry about it. That is an off-topic question. We're talking about a general project, Rohit. So if you click the link in the description, I'm introducing a project that anyone will be able to contribute to. Hello, Abdelhamid. This is a project that you, the viewer, will be able to do. And we'll talk about it at the end, but we're going to talk about how do you actually participate in all of this. But right now, we're filling out the requirements, and I'm answering questions about those requirements. Here we go. Linus is saying it's not... Oh, I see. The button itself inside of the image is not centered. Hello, Imitan. We're going over some requirements. SEO friendly. I like it. Should this be a general goal or a stretch goal? I'm going to add it as a stretch goal because you could go down a rabbit hole of trying to make things SEO friendly. SEO friendly tags. Project management tools like Trello. Actually, I want that to be just in general. So in scope, let's do this. Demonstrate your ability to manage a project with a tool like Trello. So you're welcome to use other things, but I think that actually would be really good. So basically, you need to break down your project into all the parts and pieces that you're going to work on and use some sort of like Kanban board with to do, in progress, done, that kind of thing. Wait, my shirt? What's up with my shirt? What's happening? Yeah. Oh, that's super cool. I won't add it as a stretch goal, but yeah, I like it. Yeah, so we're going to talk about in a second, Zubair, what are some example third-party web APIs we can use. And essentially, these are third-party websites that provide data as JSON. So you have things like weather APIs. You have APIs where you can search for places, APIs where you can search for recipes, all sorts of APIs that are freely available on the web. And that's going to be one of the requirements. Cool. Hello, Vicus. Hello, Renat. Renat. Hello, Ferruccio. Life's good. Vacation was good. No, I'm going through the stuffs, and then I'm gonna release it. I should keep going. Okay, so those are the stretch goals. Let's talk about technical requirements. So for technical requirements, your website should have 2 HTML pages. The first page is a landing page. It should have a description of the project. So like what it is, why you built it, how people can use it. Let's add that here. It should also have a link to your GitHub/portfolio site. And should have the title of the project and potentially like a logo for the project. So for this application, this front-end web application that you're going to build, is going to have 2 pages. The first page is just a landing page. It has the title, it has the description, a link to yourself, and then lastly, a link to the second page, which is the actual application page. So you're just going to start with the landing page, and then the second page you're going to build is the application page. So this application page will be the page where you're actually reaching out to an API to get some data. So so we'll contact a third-party API for data. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add this as another main goal. Let's say demonstrate your ability to take in user input on the front end. So you should have some sort of like search form or a button that somebody should press where when they type into that search form or when they click that button, that's when you use what they typed in. Or if you're not using what they typed in, you just react to them clicking a button and you make the API request. So we're going to make that another goal. Let's take a quick stretch. Okay, so we'll take in user input. So this could be a search form, settings checkboxes. So let's say you build a website where you're listing restaurants near a user. You could have checkboxes that say, I want fast food, I want slow food, I want particular styles of food, so Asian food or Mexican food or hamburgers, and the user will click their checkboxes and then click go, and then you contact some API and then list all of the restaurants that match those checkboxes. So we'll just say, for example, a search form, settings checkboxes. Basically, we want some way for the user to input something, and then we'll use that input. So use user input to contact a third-party API for data. So for those of you that are just joining, the idea here is this is a project for you to complete. The goal is to build a front-end website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and the website will communicate and integrate with a third-party web API. We're about to talk about what those kinds of APIs are, and we'll talk about some example ideas, but I have listed all of the goals for the project. And this is kind of like a checklist when you're building and working on this project so you know that you're actually meeting the requirements. We have some stretch goals. So let's say you're not a beginner programmer, but you still want to participate. There's a lot of extra stuff that you could do to go above and beyond. And let's just add a description, not required, but if you want to go above and beyond, you can do that. And for goals, we'll say these are the required goals for the project. Every project should at least meet these goals. So there's that. And this isn't necessarily technical requirements. Let's call this like what you will build. You're going to build a 2-page website. The first page is a landing page, title, description, and then a link to the second page. So there'll be like a button that says like, go to the app. They click on it, and that takes them to the second page where you can take in user input, like I said, checkboxes, some way for the user to interact. Yeah, plus ultra. And then you'll use what the user entered to contact a third-party API. Okay, so I'm going to catch up on the chat, but let me know what questions you have so far about this. And like I said, this is the basic website that you're building. It's not super complex, but it does and will demonstrate that you can build front-end websites using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and those are the goals. So that's the plan. We'll talk about what are some third-party APIs you can use. We'll talk about some example project ideas if you're having trouble coming up with ideas. I talked about what's out of scope. So this is purely a front-end project. You're not building a back-end. You're not going to have user login. You're not going to have a database. This is all about building a front-end website and using an existing third-party API. Okay, let's catch up. 100% Lighthouse score. I like that. In terms of a stretch goal. Mobile first approach. I like it. Let's say that is a stretch goal. Yeah. However, I do have under the CSS goals is to create responsive and adaptive layouts. So part of judging these things will be to make sure that if I resize the page, it still looks okay. And you're using either media queries or you're using a grid system in Bootstrap or Bulma that will automatically like shift things to the next line. Also, you're using responsive units so that way when you expand and contract, the elements get bigger or smaller based on the screen size. Yeah. You absolutely can do animations. Let's say UI animations. Yep, and so this is an example of one API we can talk to. We're going to talk about it in a second, but there's a ton, and I have a resource that has like hundreds that you can choose from. Thank you, Farman. Thanks for tuning in. State management, yeah, we have that as a stretch goal. So if you want to use like structure your code in an MV star pattern or use a state management pattern, I still want to limit you to not using any other third-party libraries, but you can write it, if you write it from scratch, that would be a fun exercise as well. Yeah, you could find a news API. So for the user input, they could input in a just a search term, and then you contact a news API and list out all of the news articles below. Yeah. Hello, Joel from Peru. Welcome. Furman says, whenever I watch your stream, I get motivation. That's good. And hopefully this motivates you to participate in this. Like I said, we're going to talk about it in a second, like how you can actually participate. But yeah. Hello, Miku. Welcome. Greetings, Infi. No, Ajax is not a stretch goal. That is a requirement. So under JavaScript, we have demonstrate your ability to make API requests with front-end JavaScript. So you can use Ajax XML HTTP request. You'll probably want to use fetch because it's a nicer API. But that is a requirement. You are going to have to make API requests. Yeah, use a CI/CD pipeline. Why not? Let's add that under stretch goals. Cool. Yes, this is a good point. You are allowed to use libraries for data visualization or maps. Let's add that in here. It's not necessarily a stretch goal. Actually, let's put it in scope. I'm going to put yeah, I think that's why I had that category. In scope. You can use third-party JavaScript libraries for things like data visualization. So you could use chart.js, D3.js, different things like that. Maps, you could use Google Maps or Leaflet. If anyone can think of other things, I definitely want to allow these. Like, you don't have to write your own data visualization from scratch or your own map library from scratch, but I do want you to write all of the code that's interacting with these. I want you to write that from scratch. I'm saying that this has to be in vanilla JavaScript. You cannot use React. Though, you're absolutely welcome to take these requirements and use it to build a project for your portfolio and use whatever you want. But when we talk about how to participate and how I will give feedback and other people can give feedback, I want to limit it to just vanilla JavaScript so that it's easier to give feedback. Yep. So if you look at the description of the video, there's a link to this GitHub repo, and I'm currently filling things in. Let's say, actually, I'm going to go ahead and commit and push up. Let's find a nice little worker, a little worker bee. So if you go to the GitHub link, you will see all of my latest changes. But like I said, we're filling this out live. I'm answering your questions, all that good stuff. Hello, little Hazy. What's up? Good morning. Cool. Heck is super stoked. What about sorting results for price? Absolutely. So that's where you can get original with this, because a lot of these third-party APIs, they really just provide data, but you can do a lot with that data on the front end. So what if you made a web page where people can search for restaurants, and then maybe you find an API where you can find menu item prices, and then you only show them restaurants where the menu items are within a certain price range. That's totally valid. Totally valid. Seedling school is something I thought of last night, but the idea is this is going to be, I'm creating this GitHub repo with all of the requirements for a project. So basically your first front-end project is to build a front-end website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and that website will communicate with a third-party API. I've been talking with people, I've been answering questions, we're filling out what are the goals for this project. So when you, you, the viewer, build this thing. This is what you're attempting to demonstrate. And then we have a ton of stretch goals. So for those of you that are brand new to programming and brand new to web development, really, this right here, this is all you need. That's the bare minimum, and that's okay. But if you're not new to programming and you want to flex your skills or learn different things, there's been a ton of suggestions in the chat for things you can add on top of that. But these are stretch goals. And you're going to be building a basic website. So 2 pages, you have a landing page, and then you have the application page itself. So the idea is you will use these requirements to build that website, and then we'll have a way for people to participate. So we'll have a way for asking for help, a way for me to review people's projects, a way for me to review code, different things like that. That's the plan. That is the plan. Plus Ultra. Start a project for beginner coders. Absolutely. Hello, Deep Sense. Nice to see you too, Rajat. Welcome. I don't know if I want to add linters as a main goal. Maybe we do. The thing is, it gets tricky because then you need something like Node and npm to install the linter. We're gonna add it as a stretch goal. Hello, Cigar. Welcome. Can I make the font size bigger? Yes. How's that? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I want to keep building a backend out of scope. So this is purely a front-end project, and that we're about to talk. I'm going to try to. There's a lot of chat messages. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through all of them, but the idea is you will use an existing third-party API, and I think I'm going to go ahead and start talking about that because I don't want this video to be too long. I might edit it down or make like a really short version for people to come and watch afterwards. But yeah, cross-browser compatibility with CSS. We'll add it as a, let's add it as a stretch. And actually that could be a part of a build process. Use post CSS for cross-browser compatibility. Cool. Yep, Hacker News API is one. Let's start adding these. I'm going to talk about them and I'll show you a list, but there's things like weather API, like news/articles API, so things like Reddit or Hacker News. There's a lot of existing APIs out there. This is recorded, so when the stream is done, you can go to this very link, and it will be there instantly. Pure hand coding, no framework, yeah. So we mentioned it. This has to be all with vanilla JavaScript. That said, you are allowed to use third-party libraries for things like data visualization or maps. Yeah, so let's Katoli has a suggestion for like a movie API, like a picture API. I'm not adding the specific names here because a lot of them exist. Like there's a lot of different APIs you can find for searching for movies. There's a lot of different APIs for searching for pictures. I'm adding like general examples, and then I'm going to link to a resource that just has a ton of different ones that you can check out. Hello, Jay Shri. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. IE9 compatibility. That's funny. Actually, it's somewhat serious, right? Like if you're trying to build websites for older, like companies that need to support older browsers, let's do that. Oh yeah, there's a Wikipedia API, absolutely. And it an API that returns APIs. And that actually just made me think of something that I want to add as a general, well, as a JavaScript goal. Demonstrate your ability to handle cores requests/errors. So one of the things you're going to run into when you attempt to make requests to these APIs is some of them may not have cores enabled. And as a web developer, you should know what that is and how to get around it or how to fix it. But that's something to keep in mind. So the idea is after I get all of this filled out and pushed up, you can start to submit your project ideas and you can start working on them. And then when you have questions, when you say, I'm trying to get the data from this API, but it's not working, I will try to answer those questions live on stream and show an example of how I might do it. That's the plan. That is the plan. You meant Ajax in the way of displaying the data as the user types in the form. Oh, yeah, you could do that too, like refreshing in real time. Yeah, that's a good one, Rudro. There are nutrition APIs, so there are APIs where you can search for food terms like banana, and it will give you back all of the like the calorie content and all of that good stuff. And the thing is, you can get very original with this. Like I said, a lot of these APIs are just basic data, but you could build like a food pantry app, right? You could build an app where someone can enter in all the foods that they have in their pantry, and then you use the nutrition API to calculate the sum total number of calories that are in your pantry. Or you could combine a nutrition API with a recipe API, where a user can enter in all of the items that they have in their pantry, and you contact the recipe API to find recipes that use those items. And then once you get back the recipes, you can use the nutrition API to list out nutrition information about those things. And that application would be really useful, right? And it all falls within within these requirements. Cool. Oh yeah, and it will be deployed. So what you will build, and then I'll add it here. Your website will be deployed to a service like Netlify, Surge, or Now, so that others can access/use it. That is definitely a thing. Yep, using fetch. Thanks for the follow, Talal. Hello, Eds. Yeah, see you later. Yeah, why not PDF.js? So that's totally valid. Something like PDF.js, or let's just say like a PDF renderer. Yeah, like let's say you're a research student and you find an API for getting PDF documents that are like scientific journals. You could build a website that actually renders those PDFs in line. Absolutely. Yeah. You're allowed to, yeah. If you wanted to, you could write React from scratch and then use that in this app. You're allowed to use XHR. And if people want to learn about it, I can show how XHR works, but you can't use like jQuery Ajax or anything like that. So you would need to actually implement those calls yourself. Yeah. Yes. Hopefully, yeah, I'm 8 minutes behind on chat, so hopefully what I talked about helped you to know what we're talking about here. A little hazy. Can you please tell how to ask someone for a referral if we don't know them? That's a good question. That's like just a general networking question. And it's kind of hard because if someone doesn't know you, they may not be comfortable giving a referral. So I don't really know. I'm going to try to review as many projects as I can. I don't know how much participation there will be, but the idea is I'm going to create a project description template. So this template will have like, what is the app that you're trying to build? What does it do for users? How will users interact with your application? What third-party API are you going to integrate with? What CSS framework are you going to use? And you, as the viewer, will need to fill all of that out, and then you can submit an issue with your project, with a link to your GitHub repo that has your project description in it. And then I can start to review like, yes, I think this is a good idea, or here, I think you're going to run into issues here, maybe try this instead. That's the plan. That is the plan. Yeah. Yeah, all core technologies. No TypeScript. Come on, Mattia. Yeah. No TypeScript. You could though. So part of the stretch requirements are, or not part of the stretch goals are using things like a build process, and you could use TypeScript if you really wanted to. Yep. Thanks for the follow, Florian. Welcome. We have a PWA as a stretch requirement. So there's movies APIs, there's Unsplash APIs. Wonderful coding pasta. I was gonna Google search for this, but I think this is the one. Yeah, so this is a wonderful, wonderful resource. We'll go ahead and talk about it. It's called Public APIs, and it lists tons and tons of free APIs that you can integrate with. And typically they'll list if it requires authentication and if it has cores or not. So one of the things that I mentioned is this app should not have authentication because that's really going to complicate things. So when you're searching for an API to use, you might want to find one that does not require auth. So there's the Catfax API, there's the Dogs API, the Pet Finder and Adoption API. There are APIs for listing out anime. There's so many different APIs, and basically these APIs will be your data source and will basically allow your application to come alive, right? This is how you're going to get restaurant information or movie information or news information. Let's search for movies. Yeah, there's the Open Movie Database. So many. So I'm going to list the link here. See a full list of many different open web APIs you can use. Cool. And then the other thing is the programmable web, I believe. API directory. Yeah. So this is a website that lists out many different APIs that are available. It's not as nice as this GitHub list because a lot of times it's a bit deceiving. You say, oh, there's an API, but then it ends up requiring authentication and different things like that. This list right here is one of the best because it really shows you if that API requires auth or not. And one of the things you're going to learn in doing this project is how to deal with third-party APIs because they don't always have the best documentation. And it's up to you to figure out how to actually communicate with these APIs. And let me actually add this under a general requirement. Let's say demonstrate your ability to use a REST API tool to test requests to a third-party API. So you can use something like Postman or something like Insomnia or something like Raw. There's many different tools, but part of this project is learning how to use those tools so you can figure out what API requests you need to make, and then you can take those API requests and implement them with JavaScript. So that's definitely a goal here. All right, let's keep catching up. So many chats. Yeah, there's the dog and cats APIs. NASA has an API for getting like space images. There's an API for getting the current location of the International Space Station. So let's start writing down some example project ideas. Use the ISS API to show the current location of the ISS on a map. There's one project idea. Use a nutrition API to allow a user to enter the contents of their pantry to get nutritional information. Use a movie API to allow a user to search for movie descriptions and posters. Use an image API to allow a user to search and favorite images. Those favorite images might be stored in local storage. Because like I said, you're not gonna have a backend API where they can save their favorites, but you could do something like that. What else? Use a news API to search for news articles. Use places/restaurant API to list restaurants near a user. Cool. All right, I'm going to keep catching up, but let me know what are some ideas that you have. And here's the other thing. No idea is a bad idea. As long as it meets the minimum number of goals, you're still going to get something out of this. You're still going to be building a web app. And it doesn't have to be an original idea. A lot of these things already exist, and that's okay because you're going to be building it from scratch. You're going to show how you can use your skills in web development to build an app like this. Gulp and Sass are allowed, but I have it as a stretch goal. And really, you should probably use Webpack instead of Gulp, but you're definitely allowed to, but it's a stretch. Yeah, so PWA is out of scope, but it is a stretch goal. So if you want to do it, you can, but it's not a minimum requirement. Yeah, Coding Journey is saying a trading API. Yeah, so there are stock trading APIs. There are things like cryptocurrency APIs. And here's the thing. I'm listing out a very general term here, but what you can do is search the web, say free picture JSON API, free cryptocurrency API, and you can find APIs and find their documentation, and then you'll need to figure out how to integrate with them. So here's another idea. Allow user to enter stock. What are those called? Names? Stock abbreviation names? Yeah. Enter stock names and view a real-time chart of stock price. Same idea, but with crypto. So you could build that same site, but let's say you allow people to enter in some altcoins like Litecoin and different things like that, and you can show a real-time graph of their current trading price on a particular market. Yeah. Nutrition APIs. Yeah, and the thing is, what I like about this whole idea of doing this is it's going to focus people's questions, right? Instead of being like a general, I need help, when people have questions, I know that they're working on this specific project, so it'll allow me to better help them, and also create videos that will help other people in the future when they're trying to do this as well. So that's the plan. A Yoda translator API? That's pretty good. Yeah. Cunningham is saying, I'm starting to lose grasp of the requirements. Like I said, really, it's just the goals. The general, those are the main requirements. And you can skip stretch goals. And really, I think I'm going to move stretch goals to the bottom. So that way people don't see these and think that they have to use them. Yeah, so those, don't worry about those. You're just worrying about the basic requirements. In terms of what you will build, 2 pages. And then in terms of the third-party API that you're going to use, it's there. And then we have a list of example project ideas. So any one of these ideas that I listed will potentially meet all of the requirements of the project, right? I mean, there's a lot more involved, right? Because you're going to have to design a UI and contact the API. But looking at these example project ideas might be a good place to start. Hello, Shiny Coffin. Yeah, hopefully people will use it. Yeah, like a hotel API, why not? You can list hotels in a particular area. You're allowed to use Flexbox or CSS Grid, absolutely. Yeah, we could use Heroku for deployment as well. Let's add that here. Didn't we have that under deployment? Yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, there's some really cool Watson APIs. So IBM Watson is it's from IBM, but they have APIs for like translation. They have APIs for sentiment analysis. So you can give it a block of text and it'll tell you if it's like happy or sad. They have all sorts of things, so you can definitely look into those as well. Yeah, you could deploy to Linode. Well, I'm gonna say Linode is like out of scope because it would involve configuring a server, whereas these services are very easy to deploy without configuration. Yeah, I'm saying that you can't use third-party libraries, so I actually don't want you to use the Axios library. I would want you to use Fetch instead. Can I explain cores quickly? No, but that could be a potential topic, and it will. Cores is absolutely going to be a topic for a future video. First, I want to make sure that I finish this. I want to make sure that I get instructions on how you can participate. But then, once you've started coding, you're going to have questions about cores, and I'll create some videos on that. Yeah. Project review, absolutely. Yep, there's a stretch goal for JS docs. Oh yeah, GitHub pages. Thank you, Bisparovaj. Cool. Using some standard built-in web APIs, referring the MDM docs in conjunction with third-party APIs. I'm not going to add that as a requirement, but it's actually it's a fairly attainable stretch goal. So use a web browser API. Let's take a quick stretch and a drink, and then I have to go in about 10 minutes, so I may not be able to get to to all of the chats, but I do want to finish this because I gotta go. Docker. Use a web browser API like geolocation, the battery device API. There's the gamepad API, if you didn't know that. So in the web browser, you can actually plug in a USB gamepad and detect when the user presses buttons on the gamepad. Yeah, there are other APIs like that, and I'll add that as a stretch goal. This is a purely front-end project, so I can add Docker as a stretch goal, but I don't want people worrying about things like Docker. This is mainly about building a front-end website. Yeah. I don't have a stream schedule right now, no. Yep, this is one of, maybe I'll add this as a goal. But that said, because this is a front-end project, you can't really hide your API keys, which is why I'm suggesting you find things that don't require auth or don't require like a super secret API key, because your front-end code is going to have to expose those things. A stretch is actually, I'm going to add, I don't know if I want to add it as a stretch, but you could potentially build your own back-end proxy API that hides the API keys, but it's getting too complex. I want this to be front-end focused. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Simjohn. I'm about to talk about right now how you can submit your project. Oh, yeah, the Pokemon API. I've heard of people building a full-fledged Pokédex web UI. So, and actually, Tony, I think, was working on this. My friend Tony, who I used to do, what do you call it? Newbie Tuesdays and Noob Quest with, he contacted the Pokemon API, and he was building a full user interface that looked like a Pokédex where you could look up Pokemon. So yeah, that project would totally be in scope for this. Yeah. Yes, we're about to do how to contribute. Oh, I never heard of Postwoman. That sounds awesome. An API request builder, and it's open source. Slick. That's so cool. I love it. Yeah, so and what we're mentioning is this thing called Postman. If you've watched my streams before, you've probably seen me use it, but this is like a really popular tool for making and testing out API requests. It's usually the one I use. Maybe I'll start using Postwoman. That's great. I like it. I like it a lot. There's also Insomnia. I know somebody's going to mention it. And mention Insomnia. It's a thing. Yeah, so Insomnia REST client. That's a thing you could use as well. Yeah, so JFellyWeb is asking about a timeline or deadline. In how to contribute, I think I'll talk about that. Where are we at? Yeah, we're almost there. How to participate. So we'll need to talk about like timeline, how to get a review, how to get help, all that good stuff. I think I'll be able to catch up on the chat, then I gotta go. Yeah, so I like it. So Josh has an idea for like a possible app idea. Where are we at? I'm sorry for all the scrolling. I'm about to stop. Rocket launch history API to allow the user to see if a rocket was launched on a specific day. Cool. Ooh, I like it, Simjohn. A trip planner. Using, I believe, like Lyft and Uber have free APIs where you can ask for the price of a trip. This you could use a ton of APIs for this one. So use Lyft. Well, let's say use rideshare API to calculate ride cost. Use a places search API to find hotels in a given place. What else? Yeah, also you use a places search API to find things to do in a given place, and then allow the user to save a list of things to do in something like local storage, or I'll say in the browser. It's like local storage. Yeah. So with this one, it would probably be an app that you want someone to use on their phone to begin with, because then they can make their trip planner, and because we're not integrating with a database or anything like that, it will have, they can go to the website and they'll still be able to see their planned trip. But yeah, currency converter, yep, I like it. Wizzy says this is everything but beginner friendly. It's not, though. I guarantee you, if you know how to build basic websites, like with HTML and CSS, and you know basic JavaScript, you can build this website. I'm saying that right now. You can build this website. Yep. Oh, so no, ES5 is not a requirement. You can use the latest and greatest JavaScript. Someone mentioned a stretch goal would be that, so that's a stretch goal. Someone said only use AS5. Yeah, this is not something. You can use the latest and greatest JavaScript. Docker. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have MVC listed under stretch goals. Yeah, you can host a static website on Heroku, but yeah. I want to stay away from Firestore or Firebase. Let's say this here. Out of scope. Mainly because it introduces a lot more complexity. I mean, it would allow you to add things like login and saving user information and stuff like that. But I want this to really focus on building a front-end website, not worrying about all that extra stuff. Yeah, Bulma is an option. Yeah. And we'll talk about the timeline. Yeah. Thanks for the sub. I love it. Game stats, or let's see, like game stats API. Use a game stats API to allow the user to search for top gamers of a given game. Yeah. Hello, Domenico. Do a poll for the best project? We might. We'll see how it goes. But yeah. Thanks for the YouTube sub, Vladimir. Currency converter. Yes. I'm saying front-end frameworks, even things like Vue, are out of scope. Hello, Emmanuel. SAS is a stretch goal. Okay, so let's talk about how to contribute or how to participate. So, and actually, before I do that, I need to create a, well, I'll do it afterwards, but I need to create a project description template. So here's the step one on how to participate. Copy the project description template into your own Git repo. Do not fork or clone this repo. The main reason I don't want you to fork this repo is because if you fork this repo and you put your project inside of it, on GitHub, it's going to say forked from coding garden / seedling school 101 frontend project. That's okay. Like, that's okay. But if you're making this a portfolio piece, you might not want someone to see that you forked this. Like, it's not cheating. It's definitely not cheating, but it's better if you can create your own Git repo with a unique application name for the thing that you're going to be building. And basically, you'll just copy and paste the project template in there and then open an issue. So do not fork or clone this repo. Create your own repo on on GitHub with named after your application. So thank you. Hi Magical with the super chat. Let's see what they say. First time here and new to coding. Thank you, iMagical, for the super chat. Much appreciated. But basically, I want you to create a GitHub repo that's called like stock prices tracker, or my kitchen cabinet, or the best movie database ever. So you should create a Git repo that has a really good name that actually describes your application, so that as a portfolio piece, employers can look at it and they know what that GitHub repo is. I'm going to say GitHub is a requirement because I want to use the review tools of it. Like I was just thinking about that. Like, should I allow people to submit something that's on GitLab or something like that? But I want to do GitHub because that will allow me to comment on commits. So once someone links to their project, I can go into a specific commit, and then like add a line comment that says, hey, use XYZ here instead. And I know GitHub has that feature, and I'm not familiar with other services, so that's why I'm saying GitHub. And I apologize if you use other things, but we're gonna stick with GitHub. 2, fill out project description template in your own Git repo and push to GitHub. 3, open an issue on this repo with a link to your project description. I don't know if people open issues, can they label it themselves? If not, we're gonna label it. I will say 4, leave a comment on the issue as to the current state of your project. So we're going to have several different states of the project. So the first one is submitted/description under review. And basically, I mean, I might not have time to review all these. I don't know how many submissions I'm going to get. But essentially, what you might want to do first is submit your description template, and either tomorrow or the day after, I'm going to look at all of the submissions, and we can talk about how those descriptions or your ideas can be improved. Because you might have an idea, but if you're not totally familiar with all of this, there might be things in your idea that aren't exactly feasible, and I want to be able to help you to make sure that the thing you're going to try and build is feasible. So submitted/description under review is the first step. And then we'll have project started. So that means like you're working on the project. We'll have another status that is need help. So you've ran into an issue with cores, or you've ran into an issue where you can't figure out how to get data from an API. You can add a comment that says, I need help, and we'll label it to know that we can give you some help there. Let's see. So submitted, description under review, project started, need help, project deployed, and we'll say waiting for code review and waiting for feedback. So anyone else, and anyone that's watching, do you have any other things of categories you think we should have? And is this making sense? So basically, all of this stuff I talked about are going to help you formulate your idea. You're going to take the project description template, which I'm about to create, write your own version of it on your own separate repo. You're going to open an issue on this Git repo that describes, or that gives a link to your project description, and then we can have different labels. My name is CJ. Hello. Wireframes are not a requirement, but they're actually something very good to have, and it's a good place to start because, you know what? I'm gonna add this under goals. Let's do it. Let's see. Demonstrate your ability to create wireframes and implement those wireframes. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion, Heck. So under here where we say like, excuse me, open an issue, you might add add a comment if you're open to reviews from other people that aren't me. Honestly, I would hope that everyone is open to reviews from other people that aren't me, because I obviously can't manage hundreds of these. So yeah, that's a good point. Let me catch up on the chat, and then I'll create the project description template, and then I have to go. That is out of scope because we want this to be a front-end only project. Does the winner get to spend a day with me? No. And I don't think there will be a winner. Basically, it's really, this is for you. This is for you, the viewer, to create a portfolio piece to start building front-end websites. And I don't know, the win is you get feedback from me. We're all winners. There you go, Shaggy. Imiton is saying we're working on projectunicorn.net. That's pretty sweet. We can check it out. Thanks again for the super chat, iMagicHal. Unit and integration testing on the front end. So I'm not going to be able to get to any of these questions, but I also just saw a question on how to make wireframes. These are great things. So after you've opened your issue with your project description linked, you can add a comment that says, hey, I don't know how to make wireframes. Can you please describe wireframes? So need help with a bug. Need a lesson on a topic is another possible category that you can put your issue under. Whereas like you don't know how to proceed unless you learn about something and you can't find resources for it. Yeah. Hello, Florin from Germany. Thanks for the follow, Carnal Light. You're all winners, yeah. Do we think about user experience design? You can. We'll say it's like a stretch goal, but mainly this is about building websites. Yeah. What is the full form of CJ? This? I've made it to full form. And then there's me, who didn't know what a wireframe is until I looked it up right now. Yeah, and maybe that's like the first or second lesson that I can do is how to create wireframes and what they are. Yeah, we're all winners. I have a Buddha haircut. My tool of choice for wireframing, if you go to wireframe.cc, I think it is, this one is super easy to use, and initially it's completely and totally free, and it works based off of just drawing boxes. So let's say I want a nav bar right there. I'm going to draw that. Let's say this is a box. So there's my nav bar. And then let's say I want like a hero image. So that's going to go here. And yeah, we'll just make this a box. And then let's say I want to add some text on it. So we're going to add some text there. And let's say I also want like an image up at the top. So there's going to be an image right here. And then let's say I have like 3 different cards that link to different places on the website. So there's like a card there, and a card there. Okay, this is completely ugly. I could add more things, but basically a wireframe is very low fidelity. It basically shows you where things will be on the page and how the page will be laid out. And you can also create wireframes for different screen sizes. So right now we're on desktop, but I could create a separate wireframe to show what the website should look like when I'm on mobile, like that. But basically, you then take these wireframes and you implement them using whatever you decide you're going to implement, and you'll get a more full-fledged design. That's your basic introduction to wireframes. Will there be a default design? No, but we can help you with that. So need help with the bug. We'll keep it there, but in your comment you can say, hey, I have no idea how to design this. Can you give me some feedback on that? Shiny Coven says, as a beginner, I'm so scared and excited for doing this project. You can do it. How long until the review? Let's say this. So right now is November 19th. I am going to... Really, it's going to be an ongoing process. I think it's going to be there is no deadline. It's basically when someone reaches the point of waiting for code review or waiting for feedback, that's when I will review it. I will say though, you definitely want to limit this project to like no more than 2 weeks, because you could go on forever, but you want to at some point say, okay, I'm done now. This is my project. So let's put this under goals. Demonstrate your ability to complete a project within 2 weeks. We'll say 1.5 weeks. But like I said, if there are things you need to learn throughout this process, it's going to take you longer, especially if you're starting from scratch. But let's say that here. So, and maybe we'll add like a frequently asked questions. What is the deadline for submissions? No deadline, but try to complete your project within 1.5 weeks. I'll say the community will be checking for new issues / comments on a regular basis, so you can start this project at any time. I like it. Sacred Gaming is saying deliver an MVP. I'm going to change my goal to say that. So demonstrate your ability to complete a project to MVP, which is minimum viable product, within 1.5 weeks. Cool. Okay. Can valid wireframes contain text for identification of the particular elements as opposed to just shapes? Yeah, absolutely. You could add comments in here. Yeah, add like an annotation like this image will be of XYZ. Just because these are very like high level and low fidelity, so these comments can help you identify like what things actually are. Yeah, and I think eventually I'll have like an ongoing basis, like every other Friday is review day or something like that. Yeah, where I do it live on stream. Thank you, Farman. I appreciate that. I can't answer all of these questions. I'm going to create the project template and then I gotta go. Is pair coding allowed after the first project? Probably. And we can, so this is just an idea. This is a test. This may not work. There may be so many submissions that there's no possible way that I could review all of them. But at the same time, this framework for the project could really help anyone in creating a project and analyzing if they did a good job in creating that project. That said, Seedling school number 2 or number 3 could actually be a pair project where we find somebody in the community that you can pair with and you have to collaborate to build it together, because that's what we do as developers, is collaborate very often. All right, let's make the project description template and then I have to go. So new file. Project name / title. So it's like, so I'll say, give your project a good name, like My Pantry, or Best News, instead of Project 01. So at the top, you're going to put the name of their project or title, or the name or title of your project. Then I want a 2-sentence project description. So let's say let's say 2 to 3 sentence. How do you spell sentence? Like that? In 2 to 3 sentences. I think I'm spelling sentence wrong. Describe what your project is, how people will use it, and what third-party API you will integrate with. Well, I'll say that's going to be a separate thing. So in 2 to 3 sentences, describe what is your project and how will people use it. Cool. This is also known as an elevator pitch. I feel like sentence is spelled with an A. I need to look up, how do I spell sentence? It's with an E. Okay, maybe that's like an alternative like spelling. Okay, so we want your project description. So we'll say your tech stack. So what CSS framework will you use? Or no framework. Any third-party JS libraries like maps, data viz, different things like that. And cool. So project description. So this is like your elevator pitch. Let's also say, how will users interact with your website? Describe the user interaction involved. So things like a search form. Like there will be a search form where the user can enter XYZ. So a search form, let's say settings, checkboxes, a series of steps to get some results. Basically, how is the user going to interact with your web page? Can anyone think of other questions people should answer in terms of their project? Yeah, I mean this is mainly all we need. Let's look at the goals. Oh yeah. And then yeah, what is your motivation for creating this project? How will sentence or description? It could be as simple as, I want to build a front-end website. Or for example, I am passionate about cryptocurrency. And I'm not going to add that example. I don't know, but enter your motivation for this project. Cool. And then we also need what third-party APIs integrate with. So link to the API documentation. Yeah, should be good. VS Code live sharing is cool. And mods can help. I think anyone that watches my channel that's more experienced with coding can help. I think anybody can help. Yeah, it might be good to have a Discord channel just for people to ask like more frequent questions. I'll consider that. Or we could just have a channel on the existing Discord server. But yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be it'll be a good stream. Once we've reached 4 or 5 projects that have finished, we can review them on stream. And the other result of all of this is if we do get some participation, right? If people do submit their projects, then for people that come along in the future, they will be able to we can have a list of example projects, and that will give them a better idea of the kind of things that they'll be able to build. Yeah. Yeah, I might create a separate channel. Cool. Yes. I like it. So yeah, tech stack. What will be your process? What project management tool will you use? How often do you will you commit your code? How will you test your website? Will you put it in front of users? How will you design the layout of your website? Will you use a wireframing tool? Will you draw it on paper? Cool. I think that should be good enough. And I do have to go. I'm way over when I said I would be. Okay. That's the project description template. I am going to link to it. And actually, let me do this really quick. So here's what you'll need to do. This should be here, but I'm going to link to the raw file, this raw file, because this is what you're going to want to copy and paste to put into your own markdown file. So copy the project description template into your own Git repo. Copy the description from here, and I will make it here. I'll also need to create an issue template. But for now, we'll say, yeah, fill in the project description template in your own Git repo and push to GitHub. Open an issue on this repo with a link to your project description. What should be in the issue? Link to the description file, but I'll say paste your 2 to 3 sentence description. And link to the API you plan to use. All right, should be good. Cool. So I think that's it. It's on GitHub now. I think we're ready. Am I forgetting anything? Please tell me if I'm forgetting anything. I probably am. I'm probably definitely forgetting things. But oh yeah, let me remove that to-do list and make sure I got through all of the things. I filled in the bullet points. I have that. Create a code review checklist. I'm going to do that. Create an overall project checklist. I think I'm going to eventually do that as well. So that way, for those of you coming along to this later on, you're going to have a checklist of things to make sure that, or you can check against when you're creating this app. In the event that I'm not able to review it, you'll have a good way to review it. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. For anybody that just joined, I'm going to give an overview of what we just talked about for the past hour and a half, and I think I'll chop that and make it a separate video. Okay. And hello, Conrad. Welcome. I typically use Trello for project management, Farman. Okay. Hello. Welcome to Seedling School, a thing that I thought of, and we're going to try it. This is an experiment. I don't know if this is going to work, but you're here. Let's talk about it. So if you go to github.com/seedling-school-01-frontend project, this is a description of a project for you, the viewer, the person, the human being, to complete. And this project will be a front-end website with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And the website will communicate and integrate with a third-party web API. So first, let's talk about the goals of this project. So in general, after you've created this project and while you're working on it, you're attempting to complete all of these goals. And the general goals are as follows. Demonstrate your ability to build basic multi-page front-end websites. Demonstrate your ability to deploy a website to the web so anyone can access it. Demonstrate your ability to debug code with Chrome/Firefox DevTools. Demonstrate your ability to manage a project with a tool like Trello. Demonstrate your ability to create wireframes and implement those wireframes. Demonstrate your ability to complete a project to MVP, which stands for Minimum Viable Product, within 1.5 weeks. And demonstrate your ability to use a REST API tool to test requests to a third-party API. Now, we have a frequently asked questions section, but in terms of deadline, It's whenever. You can essentially start this project whenever you are available to start this project, but you should keep in mind that you should try to complete it within a fixed time frame. I'll talk about at the end how you can start and start working on this project, and there will be a review process, and I can try to give feedback. But just think of this like you're starting this project now. These are your goals. Your goals for HTML are that you will demonstrate your ability to create HTML pages that link to each other. This will be a 2-page website. You will demonstrate your ability to use semantic HTML tags, and you will also demonstrate your ability to use accessible alt tags. Now, in terms of JavaScript, you'll demonstrate your ability to take in user input. I'll talk about it in a second, but the website you build should have a user input form or some checkboxes or a way to get input from the user to use in the API request. You will demonstrate your ability to make API requests with front-end JavaScript. You will demonstrate your ability to handle CORS requests and errors, because you're going to run into this when you attempt to integrate with a third-party API. And you will demonstrate your ability to use and manipulate data from a third-party web API. You will demonstrate your ability to handle errors gracefully. So if the API isn't working or the user typed in something wrong, instead of the page just going blank or white, you should actually show some error messages or different things like that. And lastly, demonstrate your ability to traverse and manipulate the DOM, or the document object model, with vanilla JavaScript. So the point of this project is to just use core JavaScript that's supported by the browser. I don't want you to use jQuery. I don't want you to use React. I don't want you to use Vue. I want you to write everything from scratch. Now, I'll talk about it in a second. There are certain types of third-party libraries you can use, like a data visualization library or a maps library, or different things like that. But I want you to write the majority of the JavaScript and using DOM manipulation that actually makes the page work. And then lastly, for CSS, I want you to demonstrate your ability to use a CSS framework like Bootstrap or Bulma to create responsive and adaptive layouts. Now, I'll talk about it again, but a stretch goal is to not use a CSS framework. You could potentially write all of the CSS yourself, but these are the minimum goals and minimum requirements for every project that gets submitted and has the potential for review. All right, so what are you going to build? You're going to build a 2-page website. The first page is just a landing page. It'll have the title of the project, the description of the project, which will have what it is, why you built it, and how people can use it. You'll also link to your GitHub or your portfolio site, and this landing page will link to the second page, which is the actual application page. This is the page that's going to have the actual interaction with the user and contacting a third-party API. And then your second page, which is the application page, will take in user input, for example, a search form or things like settings, checkboxes, where you'll use those settings in your request to the API. And then you will then use that user input to contact a third-party API to get data, and then you will add that data to the web page. And actually, let me add that to the list right here, because I totally forgot to say that. Where are we? Okay, these are general. Add the data from the third-party API to the page in some way. There we go. And then lastly, your website will be deployed to a service like Netlify, Surge, Heroku, GitHub Pages, or Now, so that others can view your website. Now, there may be a lot of things in here that you have never heard of or know nothing about. You may not know what is a third-party web API, what is a wireframe, what is CORS, what is the DOM. You might have a lot of questions, and part of helping you with this project is that I will create lessons and videos to help you get through some of those things and learn about those things. Now let's talk about what a third-party web API is. So there are various things on the web that allow you to get data from them. There are weather APIs where you can get the weather forecast or what the current weather is. There are news and articles APIs where you can get like Reddit news or Hacker News. There are movie APIs where you can list out movies and search and filter by when they were released or what is their title. There are APIs where you can search for images of a particular type. Wikipedia has an API where you can actually get the contents of an article based on a search term. There are nutrition APIs where you can pass it a particular name of a food and it will give you back all the nutritional content of that food. There are recipe APIs where you can submit a request that is like ingredients that should be in that recipe, and it will give you back a list of all the recipes, and many others. And all of these make their data and are basically, yeah, they make their data available so that you can use it in your own website. So there's a ton of different examples, and then I have linked here a list of public APIs. So if you go to this URL, you're going to see a ton of different types of APIs. So there's food and drink, there's shopping, there's music, there's news. These are all things that you could potentially use in your project. And there are things that you can integrate and add to your page. And that's the point of this whole thing. So when you're looking at this page, you're going to want to look for things to that do not have authentication. I'll talk about in a second what's out of scope, but I don't want you to build a backend. I don't want you to have a database. I don't want you to implement authentication. This project is solely for you to focus on building a front-end website. So when you're looking at this page, you're going to want to focus on APIs that do not require authentication, that allow you to just make those API requests. Cool. And here are some example project ideas that you might come up with. Allow the user to enter stock names and view a real-time chart of stock price. So you could find an API that lets you find stocks, and you would use that. Use a nutrition API to allow a user to enter the contents of their pantry to get nutritional information. Use a movie API to allow a user to search for movies and descriptions and posters. Use an image API to allow a user to search for their favorite their images. Now, like I said, out of scope is an actual database and persistence, but a stretch goal is to use something like local storage or IndexedDB to save user settings in the browser itself. Use a news API to search for news articles. Use a places or restaurant API to list restaurants near the user. You could get more complex and allow the user to filter by their favorite types or by price. Use the International Space Station API to show the current location of the International Space Station on a map. Use a rocket launch history API to allow the user to see if a rocket was launched on a specific day. You can get more complex with it, though. You can contact multiple APIs. So you could create a trip planner where you use some sort of rideshare API to calculate the cost of a ride, or a flights API to calculate the cost of a flight. You could use a places search API to find hotels near a given location, and also use that same API to find things to do near a given location. And then allow the user to kind of save a list or create an itinerary of their trip. You could use a game stats API to allow the user to search for top games of a given game. We could go on forever. There are so many different APIs, and there are so many different things you can do with those APIs, but that's really the goal of this project. And like I mentioned, you can use like a data visualization library, a maps library, or like a PDF rendering library. But other than that, I want you to write all of the JavaScript. Now, like I said, what's out of scope? No user login, no backend API, no backend database, no Firestore or Firebase. This is purely a front-end website where you're integrating with a third-party API. Now, for the good stuff, how can you, the viewer, participate? First, copy the project description template into your own Git repo. So if you click this link here, this is a description template. So I want you to give me the project name and title, a 2 to 3 sentence description of what the project is going to do. What's your motivation for creating the project? How will users interact with this website? Will they type into a search form? Will they check boxes? How are they actually going to use the website? You should list what third-party API you plan to use and link to that documentation. You should list out your tech stack. So what CSS framework are you going to use? Are you going to use any third-party libraries or anything else like that? And then lastly, what will be your process? So are you going to use Trello to manage the tasks that you have? How often are you going to commit your code? Are you going to test your website? How are you going to design your website? Are you going to use wireframes? All of these things. But basically what you should do is copy this, create your own Git repo, paste this in, and answer all of the questions. Now, once you've done that, you should create an issue on here. So what you shouldn't do is don't fork or clone this repo. Like, you can, but I think you shouldn't. Do not fork or clone this repo. Create your own separate repo that has a good name. So you create a repo that's called My Pantry or Crypto Real Time. Basically, create a repo that is the name of the actual application that you're going to build, and you're going to put this project description in there. So fill it out, push it up to your GitHub, and then open an issue on this repo. So up at the top here, you can click on Issues. You're going to create a new issue, and in that issue, you should link to your GitHub repo with the project description. And you'll link to what third-party API you plan to use, and also give your 2 to 3 sentence description that's already in the document, but it'll be easier for me to see in the issue itself. So open that issue here, and then you can essentially begin working on the project. So we're going to have different labels in different stages of the project, but initially your project will be submitted / description under review. If you would like feedback from me, like, hey, is this a good project idea? Am I going to be able to do this? You can mention that there and I'll try to give feedback. Once you start on the project, you should comment and say, hey, I've started and I'm working on it now. If at any point you run into an issue and you need help or you need a lesson on some particular topic, you can leave a comment that says, hey, I have no idea what CORS is. Can you please do a lesson on that? If you have a particular bug, like, hey, I've been banging my head against this, I can't get this working, leave a comment. We can potentially help you with that. Once your project has been deployed, you can leave a comment with the deployed link. Also, part of this is we will potentially do code reviews. So myself and people in the community can look at your code and comment on, are these good coding practices? Are these bad? And then lastly, we can give feedback on your project. So that's how you can participate. Like I said, there's no deadline for submissions, but for those of you that have happened to watch this video right now, let's say within the next 1.5 weeks or probably 2 weeks from now is when I will actually review these projects live on stream, and we'll have a chance to review them together. Cool. There's a whole list of stretch goals. So if you're not new to web development, but you still want to participate, there's so many more things that you can do above and beyond what we've asked for in the main goals. So you can take a look at those there. So that's the project description. If you have any questions, put them as comments in this YouTube video. You can also ask questions on our Discord. And also, once you've opened an issue, you can ask comments in the comment thread as well. So thank you so much. Hope to see you participating. See you next time. Okay, that's going to be a separate video. And I have to go now. Hopefully, for anyone that joined late, that description helped you with what we're doing here. Thanks for the follow, Orb Vibo, OBR Vibo. And thanks for the follow, Return My Shoes. Hello, Mr. Demon Wolf. I have to go, though. I'm extremely over time. I should be at work right now. But I have to go. Like I said, check out the GitHub repo. Ask any questions in the comments of this video. I'm also going to post a separate video that is just the description of the whole thing. You can ask any comments there as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see from everyone. And I got to go. I don't have time to raid someone, but I got to go. Look at all those drops. All right, wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.